The film opens with our lead, Mike McCann, climbing a very tall and steep mountain without a safety rope. He tells his therapist about his expedition, who decides to prescribe him drugs, but he leaves her instead. At home, Mike finds his dead brother's letter requesting to be cremated and scattered on top of Mount Everest. Hence, Mike books online airplane tickets to Kathmandu, the capital of Nepal. In a small town in Nepal, we see a bus with locals driving through a very narrow pathway carved in a tall mountain. The pedestrians of that town are given false hope by a politician named Rudra, who wants to buy their land and build a dam. The public demands to speak with Rai, whose family built their entire town. Meanwhile, the bus comes across a truck that hits them and pushes them off the pathway, killing all the locals inside it. On the contrary, Rai opposes Rudra and urges the people to preserve their land. Mr. Rai's son, Vijay, breaks the news of their grandfather's assassination to him and suspects that they're Rudra's next target. Back in America, Mike is seen getting through the security check at the airport, where he's told to put the ashes in a clear jar instead of his urn. When he boards the flight, he has a flashback of him driving his brother to the army base, from where he'll be sent to Iraq. Before leaving, the brother hands Mike the envelope in which he had wished to be cremated. Presently, the American flight lands in Kathmandu. An American professor, Myers, and his unenthusiastic daughter, Star, arrive before Mike, who walks to his pre-booked hotel, where he meets his tour guide, Donnie. She drives him to the bus station. On their way, Mike sees some army soldiers and has a flashback of how he found out about his brother's death. Presently, he and Donnie board Spike's bus along with other foreigners and head out for the Everest base. Myers and Star also board the same bus as them. As they drive to the base, Vijay is contacted by his father and urged to return to their secret cabin in the mountains. Vijay boards Spike's bus, where two foreigners render him unconscious and hijack the bus. They throw everyone's phones away and force Spike to take another route. Donnie figures they're rendezvousing and tells Mike that the hijackers will shoot them for witnessing the abduction. During this, Mike finds a hatchet under his feet and spots an axe in the luggage rack. On his command, Donnie grabs the axe for him when the kidnappers aren't looking. Now, Mike opens the hatch and uses the axe to puncture a tire. The entire bus spirals out of control on a dangerous path, which allows Mike and Donnie to attack the kidnappers. Donnie and Mike fight the bad guys, during which Mike throws the guy off the bus. The girl kidnapper beats Mike next, but Star slides Donnie the kidnapper's gun, using which she renders the girl unconscious. Soon, their bus rear goes off the road, and they nearly fall off the cliff, but they all get out. Mike returns and risks everything to get his brother's ashes back. Surprisingly, the provincial police arrive and take away the woman kidnapper and Vijay, who is still unconscious. The foreigners stop by a hotel nearby while Spike fixes the blown tire. He notes a busted pipeline and gives up on fixing the bus, but Mike extends him a helping hand since his brother was a mechanic. Meanwhile, Star explores the area and gets fascinated by some rugs. Myers tries to get updates on Vijay from a cop, but the cop doesn't speak English. Donnie arrives and speaks to the cop on his behalf. Myers becomes suspicious of the cop due to his vagueness. Myers knows the area and the people around, so he quickly recognizes the place they're stopped at. Star also arrives, now in a visibly happy mood. She asks Donnie about the absence of people. Myers tells her that the locals are in a dispute with Rudra, the politician, to whom they refuse to sell their land for the building of a dam. When Myers leaves, Star admires Donnie's fighting skills and asks her to teach her some moves. Soon, Spike arrives with the fixed bus. Everyone is excited to continue their journey except for Myers, who keeps bothering the cops. He's adamant about seeing Vijay, but they act odd. Myers asks them to give out Vijay's email, at least so he can write him a well-wishing note. They ignore him and head back to guard the rug factory. Inside the factory, Rudra has Vijay. He forces him to spill his father's hideout. Outside, Myers meets Mike and Spike and tells them about his suspicions. He claims to represent the human rights organizations. He's also aware of the grandfather's accident. The other passengers are sent away on another bus, while Myers, Star, Donnie, and Mike stay back with Spike. They leave Star with Spike and head to the factory. Mike knocks out the cop outside the factory with one punch and takes his gun before barging inside. They come across Police Captain Shankar torturing Vijay to find out his father's whereabouts. Donnie sneaks up behind Shankar and takes his gun. Now Mike and Donnie point their guns at Shankar and rescue Vijay. Rudra comes out with his armed men, whom Myers faces. He bluffs that he's called the American Embassy and human rights organizations, but Rudra calls his bluff and shoots him on the spot. Mike opens fire at the cops and allows Donnie to escape with Vijay. They run back to the bus and ask Spike to start the bus. Mike also flees and returns to the bus, where Star asks him about Myers. Donnie breaks it to her that her father got shot. Now, as they drive ahead, a police car blocks their way. Spike puts the bus in reverse, only to find out Captain Shankar and Rudra are walking towards the bus. To secure Vijay, they don't open fire. Shankar shoots at Spike first. Mike instantly takes the lead and drives the bus. He hits all the police cars that try to get in his way and moves forward. At one point, he uses a blade to cut a rope that's holding giant pipes. The pipes are scattered all over the road and prevent Rudra from following the bus any further. While Rudra and his men get the pipes out of the way, Mike drives the bus far away. He stops and asks Vijay for directions to his father's hideout. Vijay tells him it's a long way by bus, so they should opt for mules, but Mike insists on driving. Spike refuses to die in his bus, so they drop him off and hand him a gun before leaving him. Soon, Rudra and his men clear the path and come for Vijay. In the next scene, Mike comes across a sloping path, which is also slippery due to snowfall. Thankfully, there's a winch machine, using which they safely drive down the slope with a cable attached to their bus. At one point, the cable gets stuck, so Donnie cuts it off on Mike's command. Mike tries his best to keep the bus balanced, but the slippery slope causes the bus to tilt sideways. Luckily, no one gets hurt. Mike looks down the cliff and finds some broken vehicles. He comes up with the plan to fix their bus. Meanwhile, Spike deliberately shoots at Rudra's cars and buys Mike some time. They come out, talk to him for a bit, and shoot him dead. Back on Mike's side, he first creates a lever pulley using the items they have in the bus and lifts it back up. Next, Mike and Donnie use cables to go down the cliff and collect some spare parts from the broken vehicles. On the contrary, Rudra and Shankar come across the winch machine, which requires hours to get fixed. Side by side, Mike and Donnie soon get back up and start the bus, whereas Rudra receives a message from Rai on Vijay's phone, which he had confiscated earlier. He poses as Vijay and gets his location out of him. He then sends an assassin to kill him. While Mike drives the bus and reaches the highlands, the assassin rides his dirt bike off the path and makes his way up the mountains, which is quicker than taking the road. When he reaches the cabin, Rai has set up a trap, and the entire cabin blows up. When Mike arrives with the others, Rai greets them. Mike faints all of a sudden, while Rudra uses the fixed winch machine to drive down the slope. Rai brings everyone to his real cabin, where Donnie finds out Mike was shot at the factory. Rudra and Shankar arrive at the blown-up cabin and make their men search every house nearby. At night, Vijay and Rai head out to empty the bus because they will be using the crane to cross the gorge. After all, the bridge hasn't been made yet. Donnie takes out Mike's bullet and sends Star to refill a water can from the lake that's right behind the cabin. Suddenly, everyone hears the revving of a bike. Vijay moves the bus and hides with his father. Star decides to return to the cabin, but Shankar gets to her. Luckily, Donnie arrives from behind and stabs him to death. They steal his weapons and continue doing their work. Donnie finally teaches Star how to fight. The next morning, Mike wakes up feeling fine, so he drives everyone to the gorge. Meanwhile, Rudra discovers their cabin and figures Rai is running away to China, where Rudra has no jurisdiction. While Mike and Vijay strap the bus to the crane and its ramp, Rai stays behind after seeing Rudra arriving with his men. He starts the crane and sends them to the other side without him. When Rudra arrives, he shoots at him, and so does Donnie, but both of them get shot. Vijay watches Rudra put a bullet in his father's head and gets traumatized. The lady kidnapper brings the bus back towards them, but Mike starts shooting at her. He then jumps through the bus's roof and enters the crane, from where he turns the crane back on and fights the kidnapper. He then throws her gun at Vijay and jumps back on the ramp. Donnie gets back up and shoots at some fuel tanks near the crane, which explode and buy them enough time to land on the other side of the gorge and flee. Rudra and his people also use the crane and come after them. The girls open fire at them, but they launch a bazooka at them. Mike drives the car around to dodge it. It hits the tunnel wall, which starts to crumble. Before the rocks block the entrance, Mike and another assassin make it to the tunnel. The others drive through the mountain to get to the other side. The assassin sets up dynamite at the entrance. But Mike drives past it and saves everyone again. Donnie faints again, so Vijay and Star shoot at the cops and the female kidnapper. Eventually, they run out of bullets, so the female kidnapper hops on their bus and gives them a tough time. Mike gives the driver's seat to Vijay and comes to fight the girl, but the cops hop in as well. Donnie wakes up and fights the girl along with Star. They eventually kick her off the bus. Mike uses his urn to kill the cop and throw him off the bus too. At last, Rudra arrives, whom they push off the narrow pathway by hitting his car with their bus. They bring Vijay back to his town, where he becomes the new leader. He sees everyone off and leaves. Star also leaves with her mother. Left behind, Donnie and Mike ascend Mount Everest to scatter his brother's ashes. In the end, Donnie drops him off at the airport, where he has a flashback of his brother and returns to commit to Donnie. Here, the film ends.